Gotham Season 3 Comic-Con trailer. Now, just to start off, I wish we got to see more footage of the new season because they did the super long trailer thing where it's like, here's a entire entire season 2 recap, and then the ending, we got to see like the little bit of footage. But I still enjoyed this because this wasn't the worst offender of doing that. And I'll just say, whether you guys are interested or not, the originals had the most offensive trailer for that, where the whole thing was just a recap, and then it was literally the last. It couldn't have been 10 seconds long. The last 10 seconds was new footage. Everything else was recap footage. But they kind of did that a little bit in this, but it was fine. I thought it would have been cool if they stopped right at the villain thing, because it's like they were just showing off all the villains that they now have in the series and stuff. And I was like, I like that. That I think is really cool. And they were just kind of going through their sort of rogues gallery for the show, and then it goes into the whole recap and everything. But then we get to what we should expect for season 3. Of course, one of the big things is the Court of Owls is coming into play, which is very exciting and very interesting because they're, of course, doing a much earlier version compared to, of course, with the show being pre-Batman, it's all this famous Batman stuff, but not going up against Batman. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this. And considering the Court of Owls, I think it should go fine because they do have the typical Batman element where it's half psychological, half pure action, because they do have the character Talon who basically does all their fighting. But I think they could still make that work, and maybe it'll be to a lesser degree. They might not even have Talon in it. They might have someone else, and then Talon could just be younger at this point, which I assume that's what they do because they've taken some liberties, but for the most part they keep the ages correct. And I believe Talon was around the same age as Bruce Wayne. Um, so I don't expect to really see Talon in the series, but I like what we saw. Fish Mooney is coming back, which had me super excited. I know some people didn't like her. Some people didn't like the show because of how they killed off her character, or killed her off in the first season, and that kind of threw a lot of people off. It was like, oh, they did all this build up for a character that they just killed at the end, and it didn't bug me that much. It kind of made that's kind of why my girlfriend stopped watching it. That was like the final straw for her because she wasn't like that into it anyway. Because it has its campy moments, and it wasn't like, for me at least, for most people, I think the first season wasn't like super epic. It had its really cool moments, but season 2 I thought was just phenomenal. To be totally honest, I thought it was a huge step up for the series, so it has me very excited for season 3. And so we're gonna have Fish Mooney back, and now she has like this crazy mind control power. We still have because we had a scene, and I'm trying to remember if this was a recap scene or a new scene. I believe it was a new scene, but when she's grabbing Hugo Strange, I think that's a new scene. I could be wrong, but there's a lot going on there. Actually, he might be dead. I can't. I remember somebody died because they had that big explosion at the end, but I totally forgot. Should have put that in the recap. But I'm still excited for what they have because the Quarter Owl should be really cool. We have whatever's going on with the clone Bruce Wayne. Some people believe it might be Hush, um, and I don't think that's the case because Hush has already been in the show. Technically, in season 1, they showed the actual person that becomes the villain Hush. So I don't think it's going to be that way. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense because it's like basically a clone of Bruce Wayne, and they're just going to do a younger version of Hush, which I think it still work because that was 100%. Well, nothing's really 100% psychological with Batman. But for the most part, it is, and so they could still have the action elements in there, especially with Alfred, doing most of the action. But that looked really cool. I thought that was interesting. I'm still waiting to see where they go with that. Plus, they have all the other sort of creatures and mutations and everything that escaped from the bus when Fish crashed it. So we still have that. We have, of course, Tabitha, Barbara, um, Butch, of course. So the three of them and whatever's going on there. Penguin, of course, and Riddler. So we still have all of these villains that we didn't really see too much of. And it still looked exciting. They just clips here and there, some random stuff happening, action here, a little bit of action there. And I thought it was good. I thought it was a fine trailer. Like I said, they did the thing where most of it's just, recap, which is kind of why I'm not going to do a review of the Vampire Diaries one, or the originals trailer, because there's nothing to review, really. But, I thought it looked cool. I thought it was cool. And then The biggest thing I want to talk about is the very last scene from it because it was super. Okay, so the first thing is the guy looked like Henry Cavill or Cavill. I forgot how you pronounce his last name. But that was really funny because it looked like him, and I wasn't the only person that thought that because it's in the comments if you watch the video. The guy does look like Henry Cavill. And then the second thing I noticed, and this is really the main thing that got me to do the review, is I could easily be wrong, and this I wasn't the only person that thought this either. But when I saw that, at first I was like, "Oh, it's like Henry Cavill," which is hilarious, but it's not really him. And then I was like, "Is that the Green Hornet?" Because based on what I know from the history of Batman television shows, specifically live action, um, Green Hornet teams up with Batman. Green Hornet and Kato team up with Batman and Robin in the old Adam West show. And that's like a special thing. They did that several episodes. And it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, are they going to do that? Because that would be interesting. And that could be one of the things they change because Green Hornet is kind of his own thing. So he doesn't need to be the same age. And they could just be like, here's Green Hornet. And it was kind of the way he was dressed because it looked green. The thing looked green on his face. And I was like, and it seems like what they're doing is probably mixing together Green Hornet and Kato because Green Hornet was like the big hero. He was like the Batman, but Kato was like the cool one. Kato was like, you know, the cool part of Batman, and then the Green Hornet was like the status of Batman. So you had like the leader part of Batman, and then like the stuff people actually like about Batman. And Kato was the one who was always like jumping and flipping and kicking and destroying people because Kato was Bruce Lee in the old Adam West stuff and in the Green Hornet show. So I'm curious if that's what they're doing because that's what it seems like because he did have the mask and you know the main thing was that he was by himself and that's why I'm like I don't know if that would be Kato because you know why would they split up sort of deal because they were you know it was kind of like Batman and Robin but there are always cases where you know heroes and their sidekicks you know split up and stuff so it could have been Kato. But they could also be blending them both together. But when I saw that, I was like, that really looks like it would be a character playing, you know, Kato or, you know, a blend of the Green Hornet. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect from that. If they blend it, I think that would be cooler than having two characters because the whole thing is that they do villain stuff, but they're actually heroes. Like, they do bad guy stuff, but they're actually the good guys. That's, like, their whole dynamic. So it kind of makes sense. They'd probably break into Wayne Manor, maybe try to kidnap young Bruce Wayne, and maybe draw out other bad guys and say, hey, we basically have this kid, and we'll give him to you for this amount so you can auction him off or, you know, ransom him, I kept saying ransom him for, you know, whatever amount of money you want. So it kind of makes sense. That would fit with the character. I don't know. It seemed like that's what they were hinting at because I'm like, that just looks like Kato to me, you know. So I don't know how they're gonna do that. I think, like I said, I think it would be cooler if it was just one person who was also, you know, it was Green Hornet, but he had the skills of Kato. But it makes more sense, like to keep it at least a little bit closer, have it as actually the Green Hornet and Kato, which either way would be really cool. The only thing that sucked, I was like, man, it would suck if that was Kato because Kato was Bruce Lee, so it was like I would love it if they got like a martial artist who's actually Asian to do that, but it's Hollywood, and I don't want to get into the whole whitewashing stuff. It was mostly because it's Bruce Lee. Normally I wouldn't give a crap, but it's like, it's Bruce Lee's thing. So I was like, I just kind of wanted to be an Asian martial artist because it was Bruce Lee. I mean, the dude died. Like, I don't know. Don't change it. I guess there's my tiny spiel on that. But I'm sure I'd easily get over it as long as the character is super awesome. I would still prefer it if it was an Asian guy playing Kato, because especially during when they freaking made Kato, that was a huge deal. So that's like just another little thing. Like, man, I really wouldn't want them to change that because that's literally a part of his character is that he's an Asian character. So that's just another thing where they literally be changing the race. But I don't know. That might be their little trade-off because Hugo Strange is not Asian in the comic books. But they have, of course, an Asian actor playing him, so it's like, well, we'll just do a little flip there. But either way, if that is going to end up being Kato and they do have a Green Hornet, I don't know what to expect from that, especially because it would be them without teaming up with Batman and Robin or even facing off against them because they're, you know, the fake villain deal. But I don't really know what to expect from that, but I think it looked cool. It had me super excited. Like, I'm not like the biggest Green Hornet fan or anything like that, but I do like what little I know of the Green Hornet, especially Kato, because Kato's the coolest part of the Green Hornet. Whether it's Bruce Lee or not, which the only other version of Kato I know is from the old Green Hornet movie. But just the martial arts dude is always cooler than the guy who has like the smoke gun or whatever. So Kato's always the best part. So if they have that, I would love to see it, and I don't know if that would be like some little hidden plan to try to make like a spin-off new Green Hornet deal or whatnot, which I would love because more martial arts is always cool to me. But I thought that was a cool thing, and I could be wrong. Some people think maybe that's going to be the Talon character, but it was just the way he was dressed. It was like it was a slimming suit, because Kato was like the driver, so he always wore like a suit sort of deal, and he just had the mask. And it's like, that's kind of how the dude was dressed. It was like just, it was like a thieves outfit where it was like a slimming suit, but he just had a all dark suit, and I'm pretty sure the mask was actually green, even though, well, I think Kato's mask is technically black, and then the Green Hornet's mask is technically green. It's like a super dark green, but I think that's kind of how they were playing it, because I'm like, that looks green to me. It looks like a dark green, so I don't know if that's gonna be Green Hornet or I don't know. But to be totally honest, I thought that looked freaking cool, and I was like, if there's any reason to talk about the trailer, it's that. And it's like, I don't know. It looks really cool, and I hope it's Green Hornet, because that'd be awesome. And I'm sure they could find something to do with that, even if he's not dealing with Batman and Robin. Green Hornet and Kato, especially with all the villains they have, I think it would actually work really well, because the villains are like the main characters. Really, we only have technically like 4 heroes in the entire series, and that's Gordon, Bullock, Bruce, and then Alfred, and you kind of have Selena, of course, Catwoman, so she's like in the middle. But we only got like 4 heroes to like it feels like 24 villains sometimes. So I don't know. I feel like it would almost be perfect for this version of Gotham that they're doing, where it's pretty much all villains at this point, and the heroes haven't gotten to the point where they can actually go out and be the heroes to take on the villains. So I think that would kind of work perfectly if they did it that way with Green Hornet, and he comes in, and maybe that would be another one of the really obvious ties to Bruce becoming Batman, where it's like, oh man, these people are, maybe he'll somehow end up closer to them and realize like, oh, they're not the villains, they're actually the heroes, and then they'll have some line that's like basically straight out of a Batman comic or something like that. And I think that would be a simple way to do it, but also a really effective way, because it would be fun to watch friggin' Green Hornet and Kato come into a show, which I just think would be cool. And it's just exciting, because I think I would love that element to it, because that is a unique thing for the Green Hornet, where they're acting as the villains but they are the heroes, and it would just add to a cool element, I think, to the show that is basically about the villains, which I think everyone pretty much agrees the villains are the best thing about the show. And kind of how some of the good characters become sort of villain-like, at least, or have villainous aspects to them when they know they shouldn't, and that's really the best part about the show. So I think it would work perfectly for this, just because of where they've gone from season 1 to season 2. But whether it's Kato or Green Hornet or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I sure hope it is, because that had me super excited. I was like, I would love to see what they do with that, and just where they go from there. But that's my opinion on it. I hope it's Green Hornet. Some people think it might be Talon, of the Court of Owls. And if they did it that way, it would definitely be a lesser costume compared to Talon, how he actually looks, because he has the whole, owl aesthetic going on. So that's why I assumed it wasn't, I didn't even think of Talon, to be totally honest. I thought it was only going to be the Court of Owls. But when I saw it, I was like, that just makes me think Green Hornet, because that's just the way he was dressed. It was like, that kind of has to be Kato from the Green Hornet. So could easily be wrong, could just be a coincidence. It might not have even been green, and it just looked that way to me. But I definitely wasn't the only person that thought that, because I'm like, that looks like Kato from the Green Hornet. So we'll have to wait and see. And he's going up against Alfred, who clearly is just super badass in this version, just destroys people. So anyone that can go against Alfred, that excites me. And because they did it as that ending clip, that's why I think it's going to be like that special thing where it ends up being Green Hornet and Kato, because it was super out of context. It was like they did all this stuff, and then it's like, oh, here's just this random dude about to fight Alfred, and then it cuts. It's like season 3. I'm like, that has, outside of all the little clips, you don't show the little ending clip after you do like the music break and everything, because the music was gone, if I'm remembering right, because I watched it earlier. But like the music was gone, they did the dialogue, and the dialogue cuts, the music cuts, and you just see Alfred and this random dude, and I'm like, that's there's a reason for that, and I'm pretty sure it's because that's supposed to be Kato, and I hope it is. I would love the crap out of that. Even though, like I said, I'm not even the biggest fan, but I know if you got Kato, that means you got martial arts, and that's always a win for me. Plus the element of two heroes posing as villains in this version of Gotham, I think would just work amazingly. I feel like they could do it really well, considering um, how much I feel like they picked up as far as storytelling from season 1 to season 2. So I'm really excited for it, mostly because of that. It could be wrong. I'm still excited either way, because season 2 I really loved, and I think they did a great job kind of correcting what was wrong with season 1, which was kind of just, sometimes it was just the pacing, and some of the things that happened just weren't as epic as they could have been. And I felt season 2 was just all epic, and then we have the characters like Riddler, who's been caught, and all that type of stuff. So I can't wait to see where they go with him. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this trailer, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I want to know what you guys saw from this trailer that you think will really carry on even beyond this season. Because a lot of stuff, like the Quarter Owls, I think that should carry on, but I feel like because they introduced it so early, it won't, because it's such a huge thing that I know it should carry on for technically the rest of the series, really. But of course, it wouldn't always be in the forefront, and that's kind of the point of the Quarter Owls, is that they're hidden anyway. So I assume that it's going to be, finished up, and maybe, Hugo Strange. He didn't die. He should have died, because he had that fire ice thing happen. That's what happened to him, and he somehow lived from that, which I didn't make any sense. But I don't know. I feel like the Quarter Owls won't, and I don't think Hugo Strange will, because he's so tightly knit with them. But I think the big thing from this season that's new, that's going to keep going, is probably the monster element. I don't think they're going to destroy all of these mutations and stuff like that all in this one season. I think we might get the big thing with, the clone Bruce and stuff like that. We might have that possibly solved or somewhat reconciled or whatever, because who knows what the actual issue is even going to be at this point. But I don't know. I feel like the Quarter Owls, unfortunately, is going to get finished off in this season, and then so will Hugo Strange. But the mutant thing, like what he did at Indian Hill, I think is going to be the biggest element that actually carries over, at least for another season. I don't think that'll be done this season. I think it might be this season, and maybe it'll have some residual effects and some, the last couple of people, because who knows how they're going to do like a checklist or whatever. But I think it'll keep going, and then maybe a little bit into season 4 that'll be completely wrapped up. But I would love to know what you guys thought about it. I would love to know if you've seen it by now, or even if you haven't seen it, once you go and check it out. I would love to know what you guys think about the ending scene. If you think I'm right about it being Kato from Green Hornet, I'm going to actually look it up right now, because I have to kind of see it again to be 100% sure, because I don't know. I swear, I think it looked like it was Kato. It looked like it was Kato to me. So I'm going to try to shoot through here and see what happens. Hopefully there's no sound. Okay. Because I swear 2 seconds and I'll probably get a copyright strike because of that. Also, DC, people mention this a lot, DC changing their logo again, which I thought was kind of funny. But, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's Kato. I was wrong. He's in the actual Kato outfit. Like, that's not even like a suit. I thought he was in like sort of a, almost like a biker jacket sort of deal, and it was just slimming. But I think that's just flat out, that's Kato. That is definitely Kato. That is Kato, or a blend of Kato and the Green Hornet for sure. That has to be, or it's just or they were like, let's make him look as much like the Green Hornet or as much like Kato as we possibly can. But that is him. That has to be. It is a white guy, so I'm kind of hoping it's just a blend of both characters in one. But who knows? I don't know. I'm freaking excited for that, because that had to be Kato. If that wasn't Kato, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. But Some people say it's possibly the Grey Ghost, because I don't know who that character is, but I don't know. People say it's probably one of the first incarnations of Talon, which would make a lot of sense, but they made him look so much like Green Hornet. It was weird because it's like he has like the actual suit, like I could see it. It's a dark scene, but I don't know. Green Hornet, and someone else mentioned Green Hornet Kato mix, but it's got to be. If that's just like, oh, this is just an early version of Talon, I'm actually gonna be a little mad about that because they made it look so much like Kato. But that's my whole thing. It looked like Kato, and that just kind of blew my mind. Wasn't expecting it, and that was like clearly the main thing I wanted to talk about because it was just like I never would have seen that coming in a million years. That the prequel to to all of Batman was gonna have like Green Hornet and Kato in it, or a blend of the characters. But I hope that's what we get because that'll be freaking amazing. But like I said, want to know what you guys thought about the trailer, and would love to know your speculations as far as whether or not it's a Kato Green Hornet mix, or if that's just flat out Kato and we will have Green Hornet, and what you think about that. If you know at least a little bit about Green Hornet, like what I explained, they're heroes that act as villains so that they can actually get closer to the villains and then take them out because they're actually heroes. But I would love to know what you guys think about that, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.